3, 2, 1. Hey, everybody. Welcome to the Download Youth Ministry podcast. Doug Fields here with Josh Griffin.
Hi.
This is episode 353. And Josh, we have a special guest who's made several appearances on the podcast.
It's been a while.
Yeah, almost like a recurring character on the podcast, as it were.
Yeah.
I'm still not a series regular, but I appreciate any time I'm called back.
Oh, I would say that you're our go-to fill-in.
Yeah. Our goat. You're the number one fill-in.
I'm the number one person on the B list.
Yeah,
and I'm
once
thankful.
we get through all the A's, then there's Jessica Sanchez.
Yes. Anyway, Jessica Sanchez, so great to have you. We were just talking before the show that we still have your maiden name in our phones.
That's true.
Torres.
Yes.
Jessica Torres.
That's okay because the Social Security Administration still has my maiden name as my legal
Isn't
name.
there a term where you have to
How long have you
change your
been
name?
married?
5 years in May. I just celebrated 5 years.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. Okay. And that was a special. I follow you on Instagram.
Yes.
You're kind of a wild Instagrammer, by the way.
Thank you. I take that as a compliment.
Is wild a compliment?
Well, the photos are great.
Photos are
I like
great.
the photos. The stories are a little
Wild. They're rogue.
Yeah, they're a little
A lot of
obnoxious, but
opinionated.
I don't really watch many stories at all. I just kind of go through. But the times I've watched it,
Yeah.
it's like when you're in your bed eating cereal, commenting. That's like
Commenting on the state of America or Christianity or newest hair
a
products.
new television program
That's
on
true.
Netflix.
yeah. So
Doug, you're not my only audience. So
no, I know. Believe me, if anybody understands criticism, it's me. So
I love it.
I love you dearly. I don't do many stories
Yeah,
at all.
he
Like,
just taps right through.
I swipe.
Oh.
I don't even tap.
Oh, he just told. Okay,
Oh,
I
you're
get
gone.
it.
Yeah.
I get it.
Yeah, you're done. You're dead
But
to me.
not just you. Like
I get it.
most everybody, unless you're my family.
Who's a story though that you really would follow? Because
Oh,
you're not
nah.
you're not more of you're a picture guy. Not
Yeah, I don't
s-
follow stories.
yeah.
He just nobody.
What's your bit on stories though? If people do follow you on Instagram at Doug Fields, what is your bit? You've only done a few stories in your entire social media career. What is your bit?
I pretend that I don't know how to use it, and then I take a picture of the ground. And every time I do it, my daughter, Dad, texts
Don't
me.
you know?
And it's just a
It's
bit.
a great bit.
bit. But
I've always thought it'd be fun to do like a selfie camera, but gasp every time, like, oh, and then shut it off, but do it like hundreds of them over the course of it, just like
Many
like you're
middle-aged
freaked out.
dads have already taken that bit.
yeah, that's right.
So it's taken.
It would be-
so
It would
funny.
be perfect. Hey, Josh, for people
Yes?
that maybe are just listening, don't know that much about Jessica, why don't you give a little report card?
Jessica Torres Sanchez, choose whichever one you want. That's what she does.
Yep.
Has been a dear friend of mine for a decade or more now.
Yeah, more than a
And
decade.
we worked together at Saddleback Church in the high school ministry. Before that, she was a youth pastor in LA as well. And she's unbelievable pastor, incredibly gifted, really knows small groups, inside and out of small groups, has built great teams, and is also a get-it-done person. So when there's a list of stuff to do, Jessica tears it apart, crushes it. And a little-known fact about Jessica, she's also really good at tablescapes, which are
Thank
when you're hosting an
you.
event, there's a centerpiece on the table that is in line with the theme.
Yes,
and
yes.
Jessica has exquisite taste in tablescapes as well.
Thank you.
So great
Well,
pastor,
you
great
missed-
small
You
group.
missed the most important one, I think.
What, she put up with me for years on staff at church? That's
I
a
think
big
more
deal.
personal to me.
Oh, and she was Cassie, Doug's daughter's
Yes.
small group leader.
That's right.
And to this day,
Such a
Cassie
gem.
speaks super highly of Jessica.
I love
there you
her
go.
so much.
Yeah, she's the best.
She's the best.
And she loves you. So anyway, Jessica
Jess, good
comes
having
to
you on the
us from
show.
Los Angeles,
I
where
do.
she's a property owner. She
I am.
She owns land.
I'm a hillside property owner in Los Angeles.
Pretty cool.
Have you built on the property or you just own
No,
property?
Edgar, who's here, my husband, he is like 4 permits away
And
from
is it
finalizing.
Edgar Torres or
right?
Edgar Sanchez? I don't know which it is.
We're close, Doug. We're so close.
Have
to
you
building.
camped on it? Like throw out a tent for the night? And
No.
none of that? No.
It's
Okay.
a hillside property, so we would roll down the hill.
Oh, well, that's great. I mean, to own property in Los Angeles means you're pretty wealthy.
Yeah. You're kind of a
I
high
don't want to
roller.
brag, but
Yeah, youth ministry.
if any of you want to buy property in Los Angeles, talk to Edgar Sanchez,
Yeah, there
my
you go.
husband, who found a steal.
It's Torres Sanchez.
That's great.
Thanks, Edgar.
And Jessica, you spoke at the National Youth Workers Convention
Yes.
this last year. What did you teach on? I forget.
I taught about the secret to great small groups.
Oh, which is what?
sometimes you have to come again. Come again. I was shocked when I got the invite to return this year.
Back for
I'm
more.
so
Why
excited.
are you shocked?
You're coming
That
to
just means
Tampa.
You did a great job.
NYWC.com if you
So
want to join us.
excited to be back. It's going to be so fun. Warmer weather. It's going to be awesome.
It is going to be awesome. We're glad you're part of this, and we are sponsored by Orange.
Yes, we
and
are.
We love Orange, and Orange loves us. And we have
Orange
a good-
curriculum is great, too.
and if you want, and people ask for this all the time, if you want the greatest deal in the
Yes.
history of Orange curriculum, the best deal, Jessica, I don't know if you know this, can only be gotten through
our
this
show.
podcast.
Wow.
You know,
We
what's
have an
funny is-
additional 15% off of the best deal you can get that only comes through here. You have to be a DYM member. And
we'll
you
take care of you.
let us know at podcast@downloadyouthministry.com.
We had somebody tweet and ask for it this week, and I said no. And here's how there's only one way. And then someone wrote support and asked our friend Chip, who runs support at Download Youth Ministry, and he said, "I'm sorry, I can't help you. You have to write podcast." So it's kind of fun. The only way you can get it is to write into our show. And so send us a question and ask for the discount.
Send us a question at podcast@downloadyouthministry.com.
Done.
And
Thank
we're
you,
grateful
Orange.
for Orange,
Yeah.
and we're also grateful for Leader Treks.
We are.
Who provide something for us every month in our DYM membership.
They are. They're killing it right now with a lot of good mission trip resources. We love leadertreks.org, and we're really thankful every month in the membership. Yeah, a free student leadership guide just thrown in for silver and gold members. Pretty rad.
That's great.
Awesome.
Okay, so here's a question, and the questions that I gathered today, normally I go to the ones that were sent in at podcast@downloadyouthministry.com,
All right.
but because we were in Texas a couple months ago, we were given a bunch of questions, and I thought I would pepper through some of those questions. And so these were the people who attended our DYM 100 in Texas.
I love it.
And
That
that
was
was just
so
a
fun.
one-day event that
Yep.
we did, Jessica. San Antonio, Houston, and Dallas each a day. And we're going to do it again in this fall. Josh, where are we going?
We're going to Kansas. I have no idea. We haven't decided yet.
Oh, or the dates.
Pittsburgh and
It's one of the things we need to do.
New Jersey.
I don't know. We're going to do 3.
Yeah, I think North Carolina.
So these are the
those
questions.
close? Are those-
Hey,
I don't know.
what's the weirdest prize you've ever given away? Weirdest
Minnesota.
prize you've ever given away?
I think one of my favorites was we gave away a combo meal. So we were playing like a fast food themed game, and the person that won, we brought out a freshly ordered hot combo meal. Like, so it's there's some games in the DYM store that would be similar to this, like Arch Madness, and you'd bring a McDonald's combo meal, but it's a surprise. You don't have it on the stage. You don't show people.
Okay.
It just shows up. So that was really fun because it was like, what? You brought fast
Very
food?
VIP.
Yeah, one person
A
gets
meal
to eat a whole
at
meal.
your
So that was a
seat
lot
at
of fun.
church.
Yeah. How about you,
Awesome.
Jess? You got one?
Okay, in the same vein of food, of course, always.
Excellent.
Josh and I got to do this at the high school ministry several years ago. We did like a crowd game. So half of the crowd like answered questions, the other half the crowd answered questions. And the side of the audience that won the game, like I think it was like a trivia game or something.
Right.
They won a Twinkie shower dubstep. Which meant, but what was it, like 2000
awesome.
whatever? The
Yeah.
dubstep music
Dubstep
like
was
very
huge, and
huge.
Twinkies were either rare or had just come back or something.
Yes.
There was some connection.
So we basically threw Twinkies at high schoolers while playing dubstep music in the background.
Brilliant. It's
It
absolutely
was
brilliant.
magical.
Yeah, and we bumped into a student not too long ago. We were together, I think, right?
Maybe.
And whatever, they came up and said, "Oh, are you the pastor from Silo, whatever?" Yeah. And they said, "I visited your youth ministry one time, and the message and everything, and then you guys were throwing Twinkies at us."
And she never came back.
She never came back, but she also never forgot. So
Exactly.
you're welcome,
It's awesome.
wonderful 20-something lady out there,
And
wow.
I ate like 38 Twinkies that night for dinner.
changing lives and throwing Twinkies.
One
That's what it
Twinkie
is.
at a time.
Yeah.
She
And
doesn't-
it's a super
She
inexpensive
doesn't remember
price.
anything about Jesus, but she remembers
She remembers
that.
getting hit in
She
the head with
remembers that
Hostess.
Twinkie that just nailed her in
Have
the
you ever
forehead.
done a prize? This is a deep cut for me, but we have a game, and the prize was you get in the car, you can pick a friend, you get in the car and you go with the leader and you go get like a shake somewhere and you come back. So you miss whatever it is we're doing at youth group, but you get this.
It's like a
special
ditch pass.
It kind of is.
It's like a ditch church pass.
People talked about it forever. So
I
anyhow,
love that.
You
It's a fun idea.
You can do games as prizes as simple as like a can of Pringles or something from the dollar store. You can also do extravagant prizes. But I think a good, clever prize actually beats something that's more
That's what I was
expensive.
thinking. And for me, my favorites are going to thrift store and just getting funny
Yeah.
things at the
Yes.
thrift store, for like a hair dryer that you wear out. You know, they cost $3.99.
Oh, here's another one. I just thought of it. I went to a thrift store. Thank you for that trigger. and I got a robe, a bathrobe from the Queen Mary, which is a famous cruise ship here in Southern California. And it had to be super expensive. And it was old and used robe, but I got it for $4 or something. And it was unbelievable.
So good.
Unbelievable price.
I love that.
Did you see how he really didn't acknowledge my hairdryer? And
He had to one-up you.
He jumped right to it. Well, and he didn't one-up me, but it was like he really didn't listen. He went thrift store. I got to tell a story.
You know what I thought, Doug? I was like, I can see why you'd give the hairdryer away because you don't need it. I was trying not to say it, but since you're digging, I got to dig back.
That's all right.
All right, kids.
Yeah. What did your mom call you when you were little, Josh? What was that whole thing about?
Oh, yeah.
Pineapple chunks. Emphasis on the chunk.
Here's a question. My senior pastor is the old youth pastor. People in my church only talk to my senior pastor about negative things. How do I get him all of the amazing things too?
That's good. That's a tough one.
That is so weird that people in the church would go to the senior pastor with they would just go around you and go right to the senior pastor.
They wouldn't follow the scriptures
that seems
or just
so
courtesy.
Or just integrity.
Yeah. Oh, man.
I mean, take your senior pastor out to coffee and share with him. Like, I think building a relationship with him is the best way to, in not a braggy or I just want to tell you the good parts. Obviously, any ministry is going to have positive and negative aspects to it. Obviously, every single one of us fails, but also has great stuff about what we're doing. So I just say build a relationship with him. Take him out to coffee, invite him out to lunch, and just talk to him about, and even like honor him by asking him for advice. He knows what it's like to be a youth pastor. So I feel like just building an authentic, honest relationship.
Well, and he also knows what it's like to have criticism too.
Yeah.
So I think in that same vein, I would say, hey, what I've noticed is people don't come to me. They go straight to you. So I know that you're wise enough to know there's two sides to every story. Mm-hmm. So how would you like us to move forward in this? And can you let me know when that happens and I can fill you in on the other side?
That's good.
That's
do you want to do you want to have a default phrase and say, have you talked to Doug yet? Oh, you haven't? Okay, why don't you go talk to Doug about that and then let me know.
Yeah.
But Josh, you did something, so pastor's very busy, doesn't have time to ask you about, your high school ministry or whatever it was. And so you would just do weekly reports or monthly, or what was it?
Nothing was required. So it wasn't like I was filling out a form, but just a simple heads up email. Here's 3 or 4 good things that are happening. Here's a heads up on something bad that's happening. And I would also try to always include an idea, just something like, hey, I heard you say this, and I just try to riff on that, or here's a solution, or just to let them know that I care about the entire church. So I would say sending your senior pastor, sending him or her an email is a small thing, but it could actually be a really big thing. And I would add on to yours, Jess, and say senior pastors have to eat lunch too. So they're going to eat it 3 times a day. Maybe you can get in on one of those meals and get on their calendar. It's worth the fight.
Yeah.
Building I think if and when I go back to day-to-day youth ministry, this relationship with senior pastor is something I'm going to evaluate way more critically than I ever have. And I've only worked in 2 churches, but I think that is more important to me than ever. And I think that relationship is more important than ever. So if the senior pastor is distant, isn't in a close relationship with their staff, isn't personable, that would factor into my decision. So I just want a close, good relationship, especially when you're getting a bunch of criticism and negative stuff. I want to know they have my back and care for me and love me and aren't just hearing things and then internalizing them and pouring them out on me somewhere else.
Yeah, when you wrote your email, one of the things I'm thinking about, sometimes emails come with a bunch of questions. So now all of a sudden I get it. Now there's more work. So you're not just informing me what's going on. Anytime you can let your senior pastor off the hook, hey, there's this big event happening this weekend. I want you to know about it. You're welcome to come, but I don't really want you to because I want you home with your family. Like, let them know, but give them an out.
Yeah.
Don't send them that update email peppered with 5 different questions. Now they feel like, Josh just heaped a bunch of work on me.
Yeah. Well, and even like a first sentence, hey, just read it and delete it. I wanted you in the loop.
Yeah.
Just a heads up, whatever. Just simple.
No response required.
And what's funny is sometimes when I would include words like that, I would get a response and be like, I'm so excited. I'm cheering you on. Love your job. Bam. And I'm like, oh, this was great. So it is interesting when you let them off the hook. Sometimes you actually get what you're releasing them from.
Yes.
It's interesting.
Here's 2 questions right up your alley here, Jessica. How do I get
right.
students excited about small groups? And how do I revamp or run a successful small group and train my leaders on how to do the same?
Oh, I'm just going to take a little break. Jess, take it away.
No, I need you.
Give your National Youth Workers Convention talk
Yeah,
right
what's
here.
the secret?
Well, actually, okay. So first, it's getting students excited. Okay, so I come from like the school of building relationships is necessary and is vital. So if I only try to like pump students up to be a part of small groups, they're not going to come and truly understand why they're there.
Yeah.
It's really about building relationships, deepening relationships, having a space that's safe, having a space where you can be honest about your journey with Jesus. And so I would say if I was thinking about revamping my ministry, I would start with my leaders. I would start with beginning to create a culture within my leadership group of authentic community. How can we begin as a leadership team to, in our team meetings, rather than just going over the order of the program for youth group night or our details for what everyone's doing for our retreat this summer, how can we actually spend some time together building relationships and fostering those relationships so that we can model that for students and begin to create a movement of, hey, we're not just a youth group that wants to hang out and play, although that's so important and it builds into relationships, but how can we take it one step further? So I think it's super important to start with your leaders first and foremost and create a family as part of your leadership team.
That's good. That's good. I like
Yeah,
that.
I think that's the first step for me if I were to be considering revamping.
Yeah.
it.
What I like most about the answer is you looked at me the whole time and not Josh.
Yeah, I was a little
because
hurt by that.
you know, well, here's what she knows. Like, I'm gonna look at the person who cares.
Yeah, I'm still making hair dryer jokes over here.
Yeah, you know, Josh is always just working on a bit, but
He's just ready to riff off of whatever we're saying,
that's
Doug.
exactly right.
And I just
That's
reword
exactly
it and
right.
make it sound intelligent. It's okay.
Build community.
Do you remember Kevin, one of our small group leaders? He would always say, my group of guys is a band of brothers.
Yeah, they called themselves a
And
band
I
of
kind of like that
brothers.
because, I mean, it's a little cheesy, like Sister Squad or whatever, like a little cheesy, but they got it.
Yeah.
Like they understood you need a group of brothers in your life who will have your back and challenge you and push you and protect you and all that. Like they got the community, the fellowship,
Mm-hmm.
we're in this together. We're going to do battle together. We have each other's back. It's a cool, it's a
Yeah.
subtle little term. He would never let it go. Like he used that band of brothers
I mean,
all the time.
he also put like a trademark at the end of it. so- but I
Because
also
he was
think
the original thinker on that
Yeah,
one.
no one else is there.
Exactly.
Yep.
I don't know. I also think that a lot of it has to do with the language of the adult leaders.
Exactly.
If we're all talking about
Right.
how awesome our small groups are going to be this fall, and have you even thought about being a part of one? It's going to be great. I think that that's going to just breed excitement and joy and I can't miss out on this. Like everybody's talking about how amazing it's going to be. All the leaders are going to be in leading groups. And I think that creates momentum also.
Yeah.
And
So-
Jess is also really good, and you're not saying this, but you're really good at putting stories in front of the entire youth group.
Mm.
So instead of like sign up for small groups and a song and dance and balloons, you're saying listen to her story. And when you
Yeah.
hear her story and how her group acted, you're going to want that. And when you hear this guy, you're going to know in your heart that you need this. That's how you get people fired up. They realize, I feel that same way. I am hurting in that same way.
Yes.
I'm experiencing this. I need what they're offering.
And if for whatever reason, because I feel like I've had these moments, you're at a church where you're like, I don't have a testimony. Our groups have been really exclusive and really messy, and I don't have that. I would tap into adults at the church who have had incredible experiences when they were teenagers and growing up and say, hey, I had this growing up, and I now, as a 35-year-old, am experiencing richness in life with Jesus because this group of people taught me so much. Or if you have college students that have experienced that in other small group settings that go to your church, it's okay to say, this wasn't a product of like our small groups, but this is what they could become.
Right. That's good. I like the top-down enthusiasm. I like the storytelling in that. Changed lives is what's attractive to people.
Absolutely.
So if you can communicate that and point that out. I always think, as a communicator, the more I emphasize community, small groups, with illustrations and stories, because you're planting seeds every message about different types of actions you want people, you hope they'll take. And if you paint a positive picture of that community, that small group, your audience is most likely to keep hearing that over and over. They're always talking about that.
When we would hide announcements in the message. So instead of just talking, hey, we have 2 weeks left to sign up, that's advertising, that's marketing, that's kind of salesy. And it works, it has its place. But my favorite is when, say, Jess was teaching or one of us was teaching, and they would work it into look at the fellowship that these disciples had, or look at the way this community changed this story. And that's why we have small groups. So there's fun ways to essentially advertise and market, but within your message. I think it's really powerful.
Yeah.
That's good. Do we want to say anything more about small groups?
Well, whatever Jess wants to say, I'm all ears.
They're great.
They are great. So,
go to her workshop at the National Youth Workers Convention in Tampa.
See you there in November.
This November.
Right. nywc.com.
Yeah.
Right, Josh?
Or youthspecialties.com/NYWC or nywc.youthspecialties.com, or just Google it.
It sounds like you're rapping in the 80s.
Well, I've been accused of being a rapper before. That's true. Which camera should I look in for that cheese right there? All of them, just in case. I'll let you edit that later.
Here's a question. What's your weekly message prep routine?
Oh, that's good. Well, why don't you start with yours, Doug? You're the pro at the table. No pressure.
No.
Get the hair dry.
Oh, come on.
Yeah. Let me guess. In July, you're probably working on your Christmas message because you're that far ahead.
No, that's not even close to the truth. I feel like I'm prepping every day. So,
Really?
Yeah. If I'm prepping every day in terms of what I hear, what I speak, what I listen to on TV, conversations that I'm having. I'm always scrounging for illustrations, and when you're a communicator, you're always thinking. Jerry Seinfeld one time said, "I'm never not working on bits."
Yeah.
That's a good word.
He's everything has the potential to be a bit. I just came from New York. We were there on our anniversary for a week, and so I was in Jerry Seinfeld town, and my wife kind of stalks Seinfeld's
Oh
wife.
yeah, Jessica Sanchez.
Yeah, she's a foodie.
Yes.
And so we were going to places that
Awesome.
she talked
she
about.
said
But
to go.
and so one of the things I was reading about Seinfeld is him saying, "I'm never not working on a bit."
Yeah.
And I feel like that with messages. I'm always, when I'm watching something, going, "Oh, I could use that clip, or that teaches." So prep has always happened in the background. The tactics of it, for me, when I was doing it on a weekly basis, I'm not doing a new message on a weekly basis, but I did for 30 years of my life, is I would have my Sunday's outline done on Tuesday. Just the outline. Just the outline. Because to me, the outline was the easiest part. Like if you're going to take a passage of scripture and I have to teach on John 10 or whatever it is, I'm going to go, okay, this is how I would teach it. But the difficult part of the message prep is how to build the bridge to the audience so that a 14-year-old can now understand John 10.
Yeah, help them care, help this make sense to their life.
Yeah. So the outline of how I want to teach it comes pretty quick with practice anyway. I mean, I'm sure when I first started at 19 years old, it didn't come as quick, but been doing it for so many years. But if I'm done with it on Tuesday, at least the outline, then it gives me time to ruminate on it and think about it, and that's a good illustration, or here's how I'm gonna, it's always playing in the background. It's kind of like background music.
Yeah, that's good. You can't turn it off, is what you're saying.
Yeah, but then you got to go to, if you're printing outlines or something like that, at some point you have to okay, we're closing or using media for PowerPoint or whatever. At some point that has to end. But then I think the very difficult work is now, how do I communicate this in a way that my audience wants to hear?
Yeah, I like that. Wow. I like starting with I just call it like the sermon in a paragraph. So a sermon arc. Here's where the audience is starting, and here's where I want the audience to end. Here's where they're mistaken, and here's the truth that I want them to get. So it's just a simple guiding paragraph for me. I might not even use it in the message itself. It's just here's what is the goal of this message. And then I like to, in a similar process, write an outline first, usually find scripture to support my outline, and then
This explains so
Just
much.
kidding.
Yeah, no,
And
that's terrific.
But then I like coloring the outline.
does
with
explain so much, doesn't it?
with illustrations and fun. I just think illustrations, object lessons, videos, humor, whatever, they're so important in building the bridge that I love. And that's the way I'm wired. I enjoy that time the most. Yeah. But I think the secret sauce for me, and Jess, you were a part of this for many years, is I would send it to people that weren't like me. And I would just say, read this. I'd like to write out word for word. It just helps me to honor the preparation. And I learned this from you, Doug, for many years, getting your talks. And I was like, I can't believe that I get to read this before he delivers it. I picked up that habit, and it was, I mean, I do think it's a secret. Like when Jess and others would read the message, they would enhance it in such significant ways. And sometimes I'd get called out for something, even like, do you understand what, these teenagers are feeling in their life? Like this illustration is missing the point, or the way you're wording that doesn't really reflect the heart of God. And what about this verse, whatever.
Or it would be nice if you knew Jesus.
Exactly.
Or use the Bible.
It seems like you're using scripture to fit your point. Do you understand? No. But I really grew to value the input, the perspective. Like my faith story is, I was born and raised in a Christian home. I was saved at an early age. I've been a Christian my whole life. Went to Bible college. Like I have a pretty simple, and I loved getting the perspectives of people who are like, well, here's what a teenager who's apart from Jesus, this is how they're hearing that. This is how a teenage girl struggling with an identity issue hears that. This is whatever. I just loved people different than me, different skill sets, someone funnier, someone smarter, someone more theological like Jess.
All of the above with Jess.
Really all three for three. But just incredible value to sermon prep. So Doug, thanks for modeling that. And Jess, thanks for making my messages better.
But it also means
awesome.
that you have to be done ahead of time.
Yes.
Yeah, no Saturday night special for Sunday school
Yeah.
the next morning.
If you want other people to weigh in on your message.
Yes.
Yeah. But never once in a long time of doing that did I ever go, this message decreased in quality. This message, never once did I go, I didn't get something that was beneficial. So incredibly worth it.
Yeah.
And I think sermon prep, not doing like the Saturday night special, is, and I mean, I don't want to sound like, yes, we all believe in the Bible, so I'm just going to say it. But we're held to a higher standard when we're teaching God's word to his people and to people who are maybe coming to church for the very first time ever. And when we're like, Holy Spirit, show up, whatever. I mean, of course we invite the Holy Spirit.
At you.
Of course we ask the Holy Spirit to empower us. But it's like he's only going to empower what we're willing to show up with. Yeah. And when we're like disobedient and laziness, or I just got really busy shopping for the Twinkies, it's like, can you find someone to delegate certain things to so that you can honor the time people are giving you that day?
Yeah.
People are actually giving you a part of their day.
Yep.
And we just need to show up ready. And so I would say scripting messages, I did not learn until I worked under Josh, who told me that you're the one who encouraged him to script messages. And it was the best thing that ever happened to me as a person who would say she is not super experienced preparer of messages and wants to continue growing in that. Scripting my message was the best way that I could honor my preparation and honor the people that I was going to teach.
Yeah. Just even saying that, knowing that they are giving their time. Some are being forced to be there, but they're still giving their attention to that. Now you don't teach on a regular basis.
Right.
So yours, like as soon as you get the assignment, is that
I'm ready. Yeah. And because I'm not as experienced in doing it so often, what I will do, because I also kind of live in my head a lot, is I will do a brain dump of that message. Like whatever I'm teaching on, I will read it, I will pray, I will kind of start reading other commentaries and different things. And then I'll just start doing a huge okay, I'm just writing every single thought that I have about this. And then slowly it starts to come together and piece together. And I have the time to do it because I'm not teaching every single weekend.
Yeah.
Well, and your kids need different voices too. Like you have one way of communicating, one preferred style, And I would love watching. First, I needed a break from prep, a break from teaching. But I would look over and just a totally different set of kids was leaning in to the way Jessica communicated, the way she would teach. It was just there's something very powerful about multiple voices, multiple stories, different journeys to Jesus, and just different styles and personalities too.
And did you sit there sometimes and go, oh, that's how you use the Bible when you teach?
I actually became a Christian under Jessica's teaching after I was the pastor.
My claim to fame.
You led Josh to the Lord.
I mean, someone had to do it.
Yes. I wouldn't fight that story. Is that crazy?
Good, groovy.
National Day of Youth Worker Training in July.
In July.
Wait,
Sorry,
what?
it is July. It's not July.
No, it is
September.
June.
Thank goodness.
Yeah, but by the
it's in
time this
September.
goes out,
It might be
July.
Yeah, it might
Who
be
knows?
July.
Yeah. After this summer is over and you're back from the crazy and you're enjoying this show, make sure you sign up for the National Day of Youth Worker Training
Yes.
September 21st.
Yeah, which is trainmyvolunteers.com.
Cheers.
Right now, Jess, we have almost 300 locations.
Over 300. Did you hear that?
No, I
What?
didn't know it was over
I'm
300.
pretty sure. Oh, we don't have a fact checker in here.
Ben?
I think it's over.
All right.
Or it's really close. Ben?
Super close.
Don't
It's
correct
it's
us. We're
all
going
right.
to say 300. Keep going.
Super, I'm
All
gonna
over
say
the country?
Almost.
I'm going to say 11,000 people already
Any
signed up to
international
go.
locations?
Canada,
That's international.
And
maybe Australia.
New Mexico.
It's close to the border.
I got the Edgar Sanchez Torres eye roll right there. That was great. I'll take it.
No, I've been watching him out of the corner of my eye. He's a good laugher. Like
He's entertained.
His whole body moves when he laughs. So appreciate that.
TrainMyVolunteers.com. Join us
Yes.
and thousands of other youth workers being trained this September.
Yeah, and send your questions to podcast@downloadyouthministry.com.
Orange discount is only available there.
That actually does make up our 30-minute show.
Oh, there you go. That was a great show.
Went by quick. We got some
did.
questions answered. Jess, it's great for you to be here. It's
Thanks,
great that
guys.
you make great eye contact when you
Thank
teach about.
you.
I also
Agree to
noticed that when
disagree.
you talked about like when I'm disobedient,
Mm-hmm.
and you looked at Josh, which
Yeah,
was
I mean,
you really are spirit led in your nonverbal
body
communication.
language
Wow.
is a spiritual gift.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
we'll talk later, Josh.
Apparently so.
Yeah, she's very discerning. She
Well,
has
she led me to the Lord. She's also discipling me.
Yes.
and
so.
she has her master's in spiritual formation, right?
Yes.
Wow.
Yes. Very spiritual.
And then, yeah.
That's great. That's
And
great.
you
Well,
are.
thanks everybody. Have a great summer.
love being with
Send your
you.
questions to podcast@downloadyouthministry.com. Jess, thanks for making the drive down from your mansion in Los Angeles.
Property owner.
To be with us.
It's a big deal.
It is a very
Always.
big deal.
Yeah.
All right. That's episode 353.
All right. Real estate tax
Bye.
on 3.
Say goodbye, Josh.
Bye.
Goodbye, Josh.